refuses to fight Gervonta Davis, which forces Tank to target the undisputed lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson. In an interview with ProBox TV, boxing analyst Chris Algieri was asked to give his point of view on Lomachenko's refusal to fight Tank Davis. Chris Algieri seemed extremely disappointed at the news since he was looking forward to the fight.
Chris, disappointment level, right? This is a guy who could maybe at least tactically give Gervonta Davis some problems, see what he's got in terms of his boxing IQ, especially his tendency to give up rounds early in fights, etc., etc. We're not going to see that. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I'm actually very disappointed. I was really interested in this fight. I thought it was a fight that made a lot of sense. It seemed like both sides wanted it to happen. Lomachenko has been saying in the past that he wanted to fight Tank Davis.
Chris stated that Lomachenko claimed to fight Tank Davis in the past, and now that Gervonta is willing to fight, it seems as though Vasily Lomachenko is avoiding the potential matchup. Vasily is in his 30s, so he's looking for the biggest fights. Algieri said that you can't blame Lomachenko because he's near the end of his career. Chris thinks that the matchup of Lomachenko versus Gervonta would have been an amazing sight to witness, with Lomachenko being so strategic and tactical in his fighting. Chris further added that Lomachenko is a very exciting fighter, and he would have pushed Tank to his limits in ways that Gervonta would have never experienced. Algieri painfully admitted that many critics have been calling Lomachenko a duck, but we have to give the fighter respect for the incredible career that he has shown the fans. Algieri further commented on Lomachenko's ending career at the age he is in. Being a 36-year-old boxer, man, if you ain't ready to train, if your body's not ready to train, if anything else is going on in your life, I mean, if you have the opportunity to take a step back, take a step back. I get it. Problem is, he's running out of time at 36, so yeah, a lot of questions are arising from this, but one thing that's for certain is people are going to be disappointed. Former boxer Paulie Malignaggi was asked whether he is disappointed that Lomachenko refused to fight Tank, or if he thinks that was a smart move. Paulie replied by saying that if Gervonta is in his prime, then he needs to fight other fighters that are in their prime.
You've been vocal about saying this fight should have happened a few years ago. Still intriguing, there's still some great aspects to the fight, but it should have happened a few years ago. Are you glad that it's moving out of the way for bigger things for Tank, or are you disappointed it's not happening?
Yeah, I really rate Tank as a fighter. I'll start with that. I think, especially recent performances, I feel like he's looking sharper, better. He's showing a lot of dimensions to his style. Having said that, I'm not in the Tank Davis management game. I'm in the boxing. I want to see the best fights game. So, Champ, you said Tank wants all the smoke. I don't think so. I don't know if at 37 years old you're calling out 37-year-olds now when they were in their prime.
Malignaggi was opposed to Chris's claim of Gervonta wanting all the smoke in boxing. Paulie said that if Gervonta really wanted all the smoke, then he would be fighting Shakur Stevenson, not Lomachenko, who is close to 37 years old now. Shakur Stevenson would pose a much bigger threat to Tank rather than Lomachenko. Gervonta Davis is showing different dimensions to his boxing style, and he is definitely improving each day, so he should put that to the test with Shakur. Multi-division world champion Shakur Stevenson has some history with Gervonta Davis. On multiple occasions, Stevenson has called out Gervonta Davis to fight him, but Tank has turned a blind eye to Shakur's call, claiming that the money is not worth it. Moreover, Paulie mocked Gervonta Davis for the fact that he should have fought Lomachenko when he was in his prime a few years ago. Back then, Gervonta was 25, and he was given the chance to fight Lomachenko, but Tank was the one ducking the fights. He could have fought Lomachenko at 26 or 27 years old instead of defending his fake belt like it was a world title. Furthermore, Paulie explained the irony that goes behind Gervonta's thinking when he could have fought Lomachenko before. Malignaggi bombarded Tank with insults as he elaborated. Mind you, I say that because he had already been a two-time world champion at 130 pounds, major world titles, you know, so this guy was not like just getting on the scene, okay, saying he's not ready for a Lomachenko type. He'd been a world champion twice and still never mentioned Lomachenko's name, never went anywhere near it then, never tweeted about it. Paulie is not disappointed that Gervonta is losing the chance to fight Lomachenko at 37 years because he deserved it. Paulie Malignaggi further explained that, from a Gervonta Davis management point of view, that was a brilliant chess move that they never mentioned Lomachenko back when he was in his prime. From a boxing point of view, fans would never want Gervonta to fight Lomachenko at 37 years old, because it doesn't make any sense now. Malignaggi also stated that Tank is in his prime right now, but there's another guy who is in his prime as well, and that's Shakur Stevenson. From a money-making point of view, Gervonta's management team would be disappointed, but from a fan's perspective, people would be even more excited since there will be nothing standing in front of Shakur and Gervonta. Additionally, Paulie praised Lomachenko's spirit when he said that he used to fight every fighter when they were in their prime. Malignaggi stated that Lomachenko never ducked any fighter. If there was the toughest guy in Lomachenko's weight class, then he used to go right at him. Lomachenko never let anything marinate. He always accepted the biggest challenge despite the odds. Paulie believes that Lomachenko is underappreciated now because he faced the toughest guys too early on and he doesn't get much credit for defeating the best in the game. Malignaggi seemed like he was in the Lomachenko management game because he didn't want to see Lomachenko fight Tank at 37 years old. He would much rather see Tank fight Shakur Stevenson. In addition to Paulie's remarks about Lomachenko, boxing analyst Teddy Atlas supported Lomachenko for his bravery in the early years of fighting.
Teddy, I want to ask you about this. Look at it from the other side. Where does Lomachenko go at his age? Zapata, the #1 contender for his title, that could be early next year.
Where does he have to go? What do you?
Right.
You're like pissing me off now a little bit, and I love you. But where's he got to go? The guy fought for a freaking world title in his second fight. To what Paulie's talking about, his second fight, nobody else out there demanding that. He demanded when he went to Top Rank. He went around the country to see what promoter he was going to sign. I know that because they actually stopped here to have lunch at my house in Staten Island.
Teddy Atlas shockingly disclosed that when Lomachenko was coming out of the amateurs, he was one of the very few people who had won 2 gold medals out of the Olympics. Atlas stated that when Lomachenko and his team were selecting a promoter, they demanded Top Rank to give the world title shot in the first fight. Although Lomachenko did not win the world title in the first fight, he tried again and won the world title in the second fight. Teddy painfully stated that it is hurting to even defend a fighter like Lomachenko from the absurd claims that surround him because he was a person that used to go straight into the pit of the toughest opponents without even thinking twice. Furthermore, Teddy Atlas claimed that the 2 guys that are in their prime are Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis, who happen to be in the same weight class. It's a much better matchup for Tank to fight Shakur rather than Lomachenko. Atlas seemed absolutely furious that there is so much delay going into the Shakur versus Tank fight.
Why is this even a conversation for the boxing fans that are really smart out there?
I'm gonna go.
Not the ones that are, that come fly-by-night boxing fans, but the real dedicated boxing fans.
Gentlemen, that's what we have here.
I'm just saying, there's no argument.
Right.
Just give me Shakur and Tank, and we're good.
That's where Davis is going right now. It looks as though Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, in the madness of boxing.
Into it, though.
Right, in the madness of boxing.
I have one more devil's advocate to raise.
No,
I have one more devil's advocate to raise.
Paulie. But
moreover, things have turned unexpected as Gervonta Davis has been backed into the Shakur Stevenson fight. Paulie Malignaggi was furious at Tank, so he made the Lomachenko and Gervonta comparison. Paulie said, while comparing both fighters, if Lomachenko was Tank Davis at 29 years old, he would not be looking to fight the 37-year-old who had been great. He will be looking to fight the 25-year-old who's in his prime, calling him out, wanting to be the best because that's the next best. Paulie, while astoundingly supportive of Lomachenko, claimed that Loma would always choose the top-rated fighters, not the 37-year-olds that were in their prime before. On top of that, things started heating up between the ProBox TV team around the argument that Lomachenko was ducking Gervonta Davis. Paulie and Teddy Atlas were absolutely enraged at the critics who insulted Lomachenko.
So if Tank Davis and Lomachenko were reversed ages right now.
Paulie, no one is arguing the greatness of Lomachenko. Lomachenko is a special. He's a special once-in-a-lifetime guy.
He's supposed to chase the top
And
fight.
he's a proud guy. I think that's what Paulie's arguing. He's a proud guy, and he's not to even put duck in the same sentence with his name. That's insulting.
I hate it.
That's,
I hate it.
no.
I hate the
That's
idea
it.
of that.
And one last thing.
In addition, Teddy Atlas compared Lomachenko and Tank's situation to Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao in 2015 at the MGM Grand Arena in Nevada. The highly anticipated bout ended with Mayweather claiming victory over Manny Pacquiao by unanimous decision. Atlas was of the view that the fight between Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao came 5 years too late and it actually hurt the industry of boxing. Teddy claimed that the pay-per-view numbers dropped and the boxing fans were scarred because the outcome was disappointing due to Pacquiao's age. Next up, Chris Algieri was asked whether Shakur Stevenson is a phone call away from Gervonta Davis because he's a free agent now. Algieri responded by saying that there's a method for this fight to take place.
Well,
It's
now
late.
it looks like Tank Shakur Stevenson will be. Shakur Stevenson's people said, we're a phone call away. Reach out. We'll make this fight happen. He's a free agent. There's no reason why it shouldn't. That's why it'll happen, right, Chris?
Yeah,
That's what it's got to happen. It's so easy. Done.
Listen,
Done.
if 5 months from now we look back and this fight happened, we're all gonna be looking like, oh man, this is dumb. But this is boxing, and it seems like Teddy, you brought up Mayweather and Pacquiao. Perfect way to describe this, because if these guys end up doing that, I don't know, I'm throwing my hands up, but yeah, there's a pathway now for this fight to happen right
100%.
now.
Right now.
Teddy Atlas stated that the Shakur and Tank Davis matchup is a lie detector for Tank, and it's the boxing version of a polygraph test. This matchup will determine who the better fighter is in the 135-pound weight class. Algieri commented that the only obstacle of the Shakur versus Tank matchup is that one guy wants the fights and the other guy does not want the fight. If the fight doesn't happen, then everyone will have the answer. Teddy Atlas further said that it's so obvious that Tank doesn't want the fight with Stevenson because he has a genuine chance of losing to him, so he hides behind the cover that the money is not worth it. Furthermore, Paulie malignaggi was asked whose legacy among Tank or Shakur gets hurt more if they don't end up fighting, and who is the bigger culprit in the game.
In this. Now, let's take this hypothetical situation. As Chris pointed out, two fighters, no reason for them not to fight in their primes, both undefeated, both in the same weight class. If it doesn't happen, whose legacy do you think gets soured by it? Who do you think the public is going to blame if it doesn't come together? I'm very curious about that. Who needs this to happen a little more?
I don't know if the public, from what I gauge from this recent public, the modern day public, is even intelligent enough to understand that it should be. The onus is on Davis. He's a bigger name, right?
Paulie further commented that Tank and Shakur are possibly the best matchup in the lightweight division. He also claimed that if Shakur Stevenson is put up against the best in his class, that will determine how good he can really be. The question marks are on Gervonta Davis, because if he thinks Shakur is good, then that is the fight to make, and if he doesn't think Shakur is good, then that is still the fight to make, because it will reveal the answers. The Tank versus Shakur bout is a real 50, because nobody knows who is going to win. That's why it's the fight to make. Malignaggi described the irony behind boxing matchups as he said that you rarely see 50s anymore, which were common in the 80s. On the contrary, Gervonta Davis trainer Kenny Ellis took to Twitter and mocked Lomachenko for stepping down from boxing and refusing the fight with Tank. Boxing fan Pat Healy supported Lomachenko and ridiculed Tank's team by saying, "These guys deliberately ducked Loma for over 6 years waiting for him to age out, and now they're complaining when Loma is pondering retirement." Another boxing enthusiast, Ivan, commented against Tank's team and in support of Lomachenko. Funny how they're calling him out now that he's 36 and almost retired. Didn't hear much from them the last 5 years when the fight should have taken place. Another critic disapproved of Tank's remarks on Lomachenko by saying that Gervonta has been on Instagram a lot and no one is controlling this kid. Meanwhile, in another interview, former boxer Tim Bradley was asked about giving his point of view on the Lomachenko versus Tank fight not happening.
All right, Sean Tell again, joined with my man Tim Bradley. We talked about a lot of this Lomachenko, Tank, Shakur situation at lightweight a few days ago, but my man Tim has some other thoughts to unpack. Tim, man, it's been a few days to kind of reflect and gather thoughts on Loma and Tank being off the table. What are some of the things that have been crossing your mind?
Well, like this word that's been used, and I touched on it earlier, like you said, duck, that he ducked.
Tim Bradley painfully admitted that Lomachenko is ducking Tank Davis, but he also pointed out some things that hold an even deeper meaning. Tim spoke highly of Lomachenko, such that he's not the guy who ducks any fighter, but his attitude has been very different these last couple of years. Bradley astoundingly claimed that Lomachenko is avoiding a fight in the same division the second time. One was with Shakur Stevenson when he was a part of Top Rank, and the other one was when he avoided the Tank Davis matchup. Tim Bradley, while discussing Loma, disturbingly admitted that fighters know what they can and cannot do, and it's a fact. He further elaborated, "I tell you guys all the time, fighters, we know what we can do, what we can't do. Loma, I'm sure, and his team don't want him to go out on his shield getting knocked out or getting embarrassed. He fought Cambosos, cause that he knew that was a fight that he can win and he can win a belt." Bradley distressingly claimed that Lomachenko is not going to return, even though he was a fighter fighter who never turned down a challenging fight. Tim further claimed that when a fighter has a couple of close call fights, then that breaks the spirit of the fighter. Bradley switched to Lomachenko's perspective when he said that Loma is probably thinking that Tank is the younger guy in the division and he's the future of boxing, but he is using Lomachenko for his legacy. The moment a fighter steps into the ring, he knows whether he has a chance to beat the opponent or he is there because he is a piece of meat. In addition, Tim added that Lomachenko hasn't officially retired, but he is silently withdrawing from boxing and his nature as a fighter is diminishing. Bradley respected Lomachenko's decision of not fighting Tank Davis, as he painfully admitted that the last years are extremely tough for a fighter. The huge checks are not coming, and there came a point in Tim Bradley's life when he was just sick of working out. His body would ache all the time, and his punch resistance dropped significantly, so he used to end up in the hospital in the last 3 or 4 fights. Tim supported Lomachenko because he knew where he was coming from. Tim Bradley saluted Lomachenko for his decision to hang up Tank Davis because he has already accomplished a lot in his career.
My hat goes off to Loma on another note, man. My hat goes off to him. I hope things is okay. If he decides to hang him up, it is what it is. You know, he had a great career. He's made his money. He's made his mark. He's made his history. He didn't accomplish his last goal. That's fine. You know, that's fine. Yeah. But you did accomplish a lot, and you've revolutionized the sport.
Moreover, Tim Bradley claimed that Lomachenko has already achieved legendary status in boxing, to the point that many young boxers are copying his style. You got all these guys trying to contend for a world championship a lot faster now. And then you got a lot of guys that's trying to emulate L's footwork. You know, they're trying to emulate his footwork. And you know, when you have that type of fact, man, that's legendary status right there, man. People try to emulate your style, you know. In another interview, Sergey Bohachuk was asked about his countryman Lomachenko. He was asked who amongst Lomachenko or Gervonta would win, to which he responded that he can't say because the fight hasn't happened yet.
I know you're focused at the fight at hand, but Lomachenko, he was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis. Negotiations fell through. Lomachenko's going to take a break. What do you think about your countryman, Lomachenko, one of the greatest fighters from Ukraine?
Last time, same question. Last medium workout, same question. What do you think? Who win, Lomachenko or
Gervonta?
Or Gervonta? Who win? I'm saying, hey, come on. You know, when fight this day. You know, not her date. Okay, when they fight, I can say.
Sergey horrifyingly claimed that the fight between Gervonta and Lomachenko is an impossible matchup because Loma is too old now. A couple of years ago, Lomachenko would have competed very well, but this matchup doesn't make any sense now. Bohachuk claimed that Lomachenko is a different fighter now. He's close to his retirement, and he may not have the same spirit or energy he had before. Sergey mocked the people who waited so long for Lomachenko to get older, and now they are complaining that he's not fighting Tank. Sergey sarcastically asked where these people were when Lomachenko was waiting to fight a few years back. Meanwhile, on the opposite end, another famous boxer, Angelo Leo, sparred with both Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, so he shared his thoughts on the best fighter in the 135-pound division.
First question, I'm sure you saw the setup. You know, Shakur and Tank, you're one of the few that have actual insight, you know, just pure sparring, right? But while you're getting prepared for your fight with arguably the best guy in the division, that division hasn't solidified who's the best. Do you have an insight of maybe Shakur and Tank, if they did face each other, who would win?
Personally, I like Tank a little bit more. He's a very smart fighter. You know, he's very smart. He's very cunning. He's fast on the...
Angelo praised Tank Davis while he claimed that Gervonta is not only a power puncher and a counter puncher, but he's also a very technically skilled fighter. Tank knows how to pick his shots at the right time to overpower his opponent. Leo stated that holding up against heavier fighters is a real challenge, so he sticks to defense and figures out the moves like a chess match. Will Gervonta Davis be fighting Shakur Stevenson? What are your thoughts on this matchup? Let us know in the comments section below.